The Zephyrian High Command had made what they believed to be their final, devastating move. After 3 cycles of brutal warfare with the stubborn humans, they had grown desperate enough to breach the most sacred taboos of galactic civilization. Deep within the forbidden vaults of Kepler 442b, they had awakened something that should have remained buried forever: the Mindbreaker. Admiral Vexthul's mandibles clicked nervously as he watched the creature's containment pod descend toward the human colony of New Brisbane. The beast within was a writhing mass of tentacles and teeth, its psychic emanations so powerful that even through the pod's shielding, 3 of his bridge crew had already collapsed, their minds shattered by proximity to the thing. "Are we certain this is wise?" asked his tactical officer, Ziktar, his usually composed demeanor cracking. "The last species to encounter a Mindbreaker. We're extinct within solar rotations," Vexthul finished grimly. "But desperate times call for desperate measures. The humans have proven remarkably resistant to conventional warfare. Perhaps their minds will prove less so." The Mindbreaker had earned its name across a dozen dead civilizations. It was a creature of pure psychic malevolence feeding on consciousness itself. Its telepathic assault could drive entire populations insane within hours, leaving empty husks wandering through abandoned cities. It was a weapon so terrible that the Galactic Council had banned even its study, but the humans had pushed them too far. The pod crashed into New Brisbane's Central Park with tremendous force, its impact sensors automatically triggering the release mechanism. Vexthul watched through orbital sensors as the containment field flickered and died. The Mindbreaker emerged. Even through the distant feed, Vexthul could feel its presence like ice water in his veins. The creature unfurled to its full height, nearly 4 meters of nightmare flesh, its dozen eyes scanning hungrily for prey. Its psychic scream should have immediately begun its terrible work. But something was wrong. Instead of the expected chaos, crowds fleeing in terror, minds shattering under psychic assault, Vexthul watched in growing confusion as a small human child approached the creature. The child couldn't have been more than 8 standard years old, with sandy hair and curious eyes. "What is the human offspring doing?" Ziktar whispered. The child walked directly up to the Mindbreaker, which had frozen in apparent confusion. Its psychic tendrils, evolved to slice through alien consciousness like plasma through hull plating, seemed to simply slide off the human child's mind. "Hey there, big guy," the child said, reaching out fearlessly. "You look lost." The Mindbreaker's dozen eyes focused on the small human with what could only be described as bewilderment. Its psychic assault intensified, waves of mental anguish that should have reduced the child to a gibbering wreck. The child giggled. "That tickles. Are you trying to talk to me? I'm Emma. What's your name?" More humans began approaching. Adults, teenagers, elderly citizens, all walking calmly toward the creature that had destroyed civilizations. Vexthul watched in horror as they began petting its tentacles. "Fascinating," said Dr. Chen, a xenobiologist who had emerged from the nearby research facility. "A pure psychic entity. The neural pathways are unlike anything in our databases. Can we keep it?" Emma asked, now sitting cross-legged beside one of the creature's massive limbs. "It seems friendly enough," her father replied, scratching behind what might have been the creature's ear. "Though it's awfully big, we'd need a large yard." The Mindbreaker made a sound somewhere between a purr and a whimper. Its psychic emanations had shifted from weapons-grade malevolence to something resembling confusion? Loneliness. "I think it's been alone for a very long time," Emma said with the intuitive wisdom of children. "That's why it's so grumpy. Nobody should be alone that long." On the Zephyrian command ship, alarms began blaring. Their sensors were detecting impossible readings from the planet's surface. The Mindbreaker's psychic signature was changing. Instead of the chaotic maelstrom of mental destruction, they were reading something that resembled contentment. "Sir," Ziktar reported, his voice hollow with disbelief, "the humans appear to be domesticating it." Over the following days, Vexthul watched through spy drones as the impossible unfolded. The Mindbreaker, now apparently named Buddy by the human colonists, had taken up residence in New Brisbane's park. Children played between its tentacles while their parents brought it food scraps. The local veterinarian had somehow convinced it to accept vaccinations. Dr. Chen published a preliminary report that made Vexthul's blood run cold. The entity appears to have been suffering from severe psychological isolation. Prolonged solitary existence had driven it into a defensive psychic state. Human mental resilience, combined with our species' instinctive social bonding behaviors, seems to have provided the therapeutic interaction it desperately needed. The final straw came when Emma was photographed riding on Buddy's back as it chased a frisbee. How? Ziktar asked weakly. How do they do this? Vexthul stared at the feeds showing humans teaching the former engine of extinction to play fetch. A terrible realization was dawning on him. The humans hadn't resisted the Mindbreaker's assault through superior psychic defenses or advanced technology. They had simply refused to be afraid of it. Admiral, his communications officer announced, "We're receiving a transmission from the human colony." On the main screen, a middle-aged human woman appeared. Behind her, Buddy could be seen wearing what appeared to be a collar with a name tag. "Hello there," she said cheerfully. "I'm Governor Martinez of New Brisbane. We wanted to thank you for our new community member. Buddy's been such a wonderful addition to our colony. The children just love him." She paused, her expression growing more serious. "However, we feel we should inform you that we're quite aware this was intended as a weapon. We've documented everything, and the Galactic Council will be receiving a full report about your violation of the Forbidden Weapons Treaty. We're also sending them Buddy's psychological evaluation. Turns out centuries of being used as a living weapon really did a number on his mental health. He's doing much better now, though." The transmission ended. Vexthul slumped in his command chair, finally understanding why every species that had fought the humans eventually sued for peace. It wasn't their technology or their numbers or their tactics. It was the fact that they looked at the universe's most terrifying monsters and somehow saw potential friends. "Sir?" Ziktar asked quietly. "Should we prepare another assault?" Vexthul watched as Buddy rolled over for belly rubs from a group of laughing human children. "No," he said finally. "Signal our surrender and perhaps send a message asking if they have any tips for dealing with the mind render we've been storing in Sector 7. It's been looking rather lonely lately."